Hi everyone, welcome back to our course training and development. And today we are now in chapter 4. And chapter 4 is about needs analysis. So, sa mga previous natin na sessions, we already talked about the ADDIE model. This model is our guide in creating training design. Okay, so yung first step natin para makapag-create ng training design at makapag-implement tayo ng training na gagawin nyo eventually sa finals natin dito sa course na ito. Okay, so yung first step na gagawin mo muna is to analyze. Okay, so yung ADDIE model natin, di ba, yung letter A doon, it pertains to analysis. So, kailangan natin pag-aralan muna, ano ba yung kailangan ng mga empleyado? Anong specific training yung kailangan nila? At sino ba yung kailangan umattend dun sa training na yun? Okay. So currently sa training, sa work environment natin ngayon, employees are now required to perform complex tasks. So technologically advanced na rin kasi yung period natin ngayon, yung era natin. So yung expectations nila sa mga empleyado mataas na. So nire-require nila ngayon na yung mga empleyado mas magawa yung mga trabaho in an efficient, safe, and cost-effective manner. So paano kung hindi nila nagagawa yun? So there is a specific gap dun sa current competency level ng empleyado at dun sa expected competency level niya. Okay, so pag hinahire ka kasi or pagka nandun ka sa isang specific position, merong ini-expect sa'yo na ma-perform mo. May mga bagay na nire-require sa'yo para ma-perform mo ng maayos yung trabaho mo. However, not everyone is capable enough to perform the task na kaya niya na agad gawin lahat ng kailangan gawin niya, kailangan niyang gawin. So meron pa rin in terms of competencies, sa knowledge, sa skills, sa abilities, attitudes ng empleyado, meron pa rin difference dun sa current na competency level niya at dun sa required sa kanya. At ayun yung tinatawag natin na learning gap, okay, or training gap. Yung nasa pagitan ng dalawang ano na yun, dalawang competency level from the current at sa expected na level of competency. And that training gap or those training gaps can be addressed through training. So, kailangan ng training intervention or training programs para ma-align nga at maabot niya yung required competency level para doon sa specific position o sa specific task na kailangan na i-perform as an employee. Okay? So, with the help of training needs analysis, or because of these training needs, na-identify natin sino ngayon sa mga empleyado yung nangangailangan ng ganong training. At ano ba specifically yung training na kailangan natin i-provide dun sa mga empleyado. Okay? And we can say really that yung training needs analysis is very important kasi nga na-identify natin yung training needs. So yung training needs, these are the skills, abilities, or knowledge of the employees that needs to be enhanced. Okay? These are the skills, okay, na or the abilities na may shortage. So there is a shortage in terms of the abilities, the skills of a person or an employee. Kaya may training needs. Okay? So, marireduce natin tong training needs na to, mababawasan tong training needs na to with the help of training and development interventions. Okay, so itong training needs natin na ito, it hinders an employee to perform his job because of these needs. Napipigilan, nababawasan yung capability or may hindrance sa isang empleyado para ma-perform niya yung job niya. So ngayon, very important yung training needs analysis. Kasi number one, it can help execute deep analysis or depth analysis to identify the specific training gap. Okay, so with the help of training needs analysis, mas malalim yung pag-a-analyze, mas nakikita ngayon at na-identify ano specifically yung training na kailangan ng empleyado at ano yung gap at paano ma-address yung gap na yun. And number two, we can identify training needs at employee, organizational, and departmental level. So, with the help of training needs analysis, nakakategorize natin ano ba dito yung kailangang training ng organization, Ano ba yung training na kailangan ng department lang, ng specific department? At ano specifically yung training na kailangan ng isang empleyado? Okay? So sa training needs analysis na kasama dyan yung examining current performance. So nalalaman natin ngayon ano yung current na performance ng empleyado na hindi man niya masyadong nape-perform ng maayos. Okay, so marami tayong methodologies to do that. Some are survey, interviews, focus group discussion. But later on, we'll talk about the other methodologies. Alright, so the next one is we can foresee the upcoming shortfalls or problems. So we can see the trends. Ano ba specifically yung tasks na nahihirapan ng mga empleyado. So with the help of training needs analysis, we can see yung trends, yung patterns, at mapo-foresee na natin ngayon yung mga possible problems na ma-encounter pa ng mga employees. And lastly, with the help of training needs analysis, we can recognize the type and level of training requisites. Okay, so nakakategorize na nga natin ano ba yung type ng training, ano ba yung level ng training na kailangan i-provide sa mga empleyado. Right. So, very important. We can say that training needs analysis is very important. But of course, aside from it being important, marami ding benefits yung training needs analysis. Unang-una, we can explore the ways for enrichment of the organization. Okay, so yung capabilities din and potential ng mga employees with the help of training benefits, mas na-explore natin kung paano natin may enrich yung organization and individuals or the employees. We can earn better outcomes, or of course, we can observe, we can obtain yung achievement ng goal natin with the help of training needs analysis. Naka-establish din tayo ng relevance ng training. With the help of the analysis, nalalaman natin yung training requirements sa mga employees. We can also examine the relationship of training and the goal of the organization. So, with the help of training needs analysis na a-align natin yung relationship ng training at yung goal ng organization kung paano makakatulong tong training na to the achievement of the goals of the organization. Alright, so training needs analysis also enhances the organizational goals. So na-align natin yung goal ng organization sa training. Okay? So, dun sa examine relationship, dun sa item earlier, no, sa bago mag-enhance organizational goals, na-distinguish natin yung relationship ng training sa job performance. Okay? So, ano ngayon yung specific training na ibibigay natin para ma-perform na maayos ng empleyado yung training. Sa enhanced organizational goals naman, yung goals naman and training yung ina-align natin. Okay? With the help of training needs analysis, we can also enlist standards. So, nalilist daw natin ngayon ano yung mga standards na dapat sundin, i-follow ng mga employees para mas ma-perform ng maayos yung mga trabaho nila. And lastly, we can evaluate the employees' needs. With the help of training needs analysis, we can identify the areas. Ano yung areas sa buhay ng isang empleyado na pwede natin siyang matulungan? Ano yung pwede nating tulong na mai-provide natin sa kanya dun sa specific area ng kanyang work, okay? Ng kanyang pagiging empleyado. So, ang daming benefits ng training needs analysis. And with that, of course, bago tayo magbigay ng training, ayun yan, pinag-aaralan natin. At isa sa mga inaaral natin is, sino ba yung kailangan ng training? Okay, ano ba specifically yung nangangailangan ng training? So, meron tayong tatlong klase ng needs analysis. Okay? So, pinag-aaralan natin kasi nga gusto natin malaman talaga sino yung nangangailangan ng training, anong training ibibigay natin. Okay? So, part of needs analysis is to distinguish sino yung kailangan ng training. Organization, ano ba to? Level ba to? O person lang, yung individuals lang or employees lang or yung task lang o work yung needs na bigyan ng improvement kung paano i-perform yung specific task or work. Okay? So yung first type ng needs analysis is the organizational level or analysis. So organizational analysis. So sa analysis na to, ang pinag-aaralan yung organization itself. So itong type ng analysis na to, it answers the question where. Alin sa organization yung nangangailangan ng enhancement o na improvement or something that can be addressed with training. So may mga in-examine tayo. Unang-una yung goals ng organization. So nire-review natin yung short term, yung long term goal ng organization, and then ano yung mga trends na nakaka-affect dito sa organization para sa pag-achieve niya ng kanyang mga goals. Okay? Next is yung personnel inventories. Yung mga tao ba natin, do we have enough employees? Yung data na, with the help of the data of the employees, data from HRIS na ma-extract natin sa system, we can, of course, we can anticipate yung uh, employee mobility, yung retirement, yung turnover ng employees. So, napaghahandaan natin ngayon. Kung may aalis na empleyado, sino yung iti-train na papalit sa kanya? Okay? Sino yung succession planning? Succession planning. Okay? And then, pinag-aaralan din yung climate and efficiency indices. So, pinag-aaralan yung pulso ng mga empleyado. Ano ba, how do employees foresee or perceive the organization? So, in terms of the work-life balance, okay, and then yung record ng turnover, yung mga grievances, yung absenteeism, productivity, yung mga accident, attitude surveys, ganyan, yung mga suggestions ng employees, and yung mga labor management data, pinag-aaralan din siya. And of course, yung satisfaction level ng mga employees. Okay? Actually, meron tayong mga kilalang models talaga, widely used models na ginagamit ng mga organizations to, of course, check their organizations. So, sa pag-a-analyze ng organization, may mga klase tayo ng models na ginagamit. So, some of these models na medyo kilala, yung una is the strategic triangle model. Itong model na to, pinag-aaralan yung number one, kasi di ba triangle, so tatlo siya. Tatlo yung pinag-aaralan. Yung una, yung value, yung vision, yung goals ng organization. Okay, ano ba to? Specific ba to? Measurable ba to? Realistic ba yung goals natin? Attainable ba siya? Ah, kaya ba siyang magawa in a given span of time? Okay, next, number two is yung operational capacity ng organization. Yung competencies ba na required to carry out the mission is enough or is sufficient? And lastly, yung legitimacy ng support. Very important yun na chine-check or yung environment or authorized value yung authorized value ng organization. Nag-o-offer ba sila ng support? More specifically, yung financial support. Okay? Kung wala tayong budget, hindi natin din mape-perform or hindi din tayo makapag-conduct or makapag-run ng mga training programs. Okay? So, with the help of this strategy or model, mas nagiging align yung components natin. Ibig sabihin, okay yung organization natin. Okay, other model which is being used um, for this organizational analysis is the SWOT analysis or SWOT model. So pinag-aaralan ano yung strength, ano yung weakness, yung threats, and opportunities ng organization. Pag na-identify yung weaknesses, ano ngayon yung training or anong intervention yung ibibigay natin sa kanya para yung weakness mo convert into strength. Okay, yung opportunities naman, ano yung ibibigay natin sa kanya or yung threats rather, ano yung magagawa natin para yung threat na ito maging opportunity. And lastly, yung isa pa sa mga hindi siya last actually, marami pang ibang models, pero itong tatlong models kasi na ito yung pinakakilala, pinakasikat na ginagamit sa mga organizations. So, yung another model is the McKinsey 7S model. So, yung 7S model, pinag-aaralan yung strategy ng organization, yung skills, yung style ng organization, democratic ba siya, laissez-faire, yung staff, yung mga tao pinag-aaralan din siya, yung systems, yung process, yung structure, and then yung shared values. Okay, kaya 7S yung tawag sa kanya. So, ayan yung pinag-aaralan para ma-identify ano yung learning needs ng organization. Next is the person analysis. Kung yung organizational analysis, it answers the question where, alin sa organization yung may problema. Yung person analysis naman, who yung sinasagot niya, sino specifically yung may kailangan ng training. Okay? So, um, normally, nalalaman natin kung sino yung may kailangan ng training sa performance. Okay, so pag check yung performance, pag nag-evaluate ang performance, hindi siya masyadong performing, or sa mga complaints, sa mga feedback ng mga customers, sa mga incidents, kung meron bang mga accidents or unsafe na behavior na nangyari. Okay, so changes in the job could also indicate the need for training. So, pag nagbago din yung trabaho, na-assign ka sa ibang position or na-rotate ka, so of course, kailangan mo din ng training para mas ma-perform mo yung mga trabaho mo. Okay, so ito yung mga certain things na ginagamit or na nakakatulong para ma-determine natin yung need ng training. Okay? Number one, kung yung performance problem ba is vital, right? And possibly ma-harm niya yung cost ng firm. Okay? So, yung dahil hindi siya nakakapag-perform na maayos, may impact siya sa cost or pera ng organization. Next, pagka yung empleyado hindi niya alam kung paano i-perform yung ano niya, yung trabaho niya, of course, kailangan ng training. Or ma-identify natin na, kunwari medyo matagal na siya tapos hindi niya pa rin napa-perform yung work niya, baka mali yung training or hindi naging effective yung training. Okay, so maraming factors. It can be an employee factor, it can be a trainer factor, it can be an environmental factor. Okay? And then, we can correct the knowledge with the help of person analysis. Okay? Mako-correct natin yung knowledge or behavior ng isang empleyado. Okay? So, ayun yung mga performance problems na kailangan natin solve. Okay, next. Meron bang clear performance expectations? Alam ba, malinaw ba sa mga empleyado yung expectations nila? At wala bang problema na pe-perform nila? Okay? Yung trabaho nila. Okay? So, kung meron, kailangan ng training. Okay? And then, yung ano nila, yung mga employees, baka hindi sila satisfied sa extrinsic factors like compensation. Okay? Pwede kasi na yun na hindi sila satisfied sa compensation. So, baka iba yung intervention. Pero kung other than that, kung hindi naman talaga compensation yung problem, baka possible na training yung maging answer din sa problem ng isang empleyado. And of course, other solutions like yung job redesign, transfer ng employees sa ibang job, masyado mahal. So, baka training lang yung answer. And then, employees obtain timely, relevant, accurate, constructive, and specific feedback about their performance. Okay, nakaka-receive naman sila, timely naman yung feedback, accurate naman. So, baka training yung kailangan to address this specific problem. Okay, so aside from organizational analysis and person analysis, we also conduct work analysis or task analysis. Kung yung organizational analysis answers the question where, yung person analysis, it answers the question who. Yung work analysis naman or task analysis, it answers the question what. Okay, so ano ba yung training na kailangan natin i-provide? So pinag-aaralan yung task na ginagawa ng mga employees. Okay, so yung sa person itself, yung competency level ng mga employees. Okay, so yung abilities ng employees. Yung sa task naman, ano yung mga certain factors na nakaka-affect na hindi niya na-perform yung task. Baka yung deadline, yung turnaround time na nakaset doon ay masyadong imposible naman talaga. Kunwari may isang proseso na normally ginagawa ng 1 week tapos ang naka-assign lang sa kanya ay 3 days. So, possible talaga na hindi magiging maayos yung trabaho ng employees. Okay? So, pinag-aaralan siya or um, uh, to perform this job ba, baka mayroon tayong mga equipment or tools na kailangan gamitin na kailangan niyang mag-undergo ng training para mas magawa niya yung trabaho niya na maayos. Okay, so may tatlong fase tayo ng needs analysis. Number one is the organizational analysis. Number two, person analysis. And lastly is the work analysis or task analysis. Okay. So, ito yung ngayon yung mga approaches na pwede natin gamitin para makapag-gather ng information na kailangan natin for training needs analysis. So, ano-ano ba yung mga methodologies na pwede natin gamitin in conducting training needs analysis? Number one is survey. So, yung survey, siya yung pinakamadaling gawin at pinaka uh, uh, widely used talaga siya. Kasi, unang-una, mas marami yung um, mape-perform mo siya ng isang beses o at once lang, same time, at marami ng responses yung makukuha mo pag survey. Possible yan, lalo ngayon, through online, di ba, kinagamitan ng Google Forms, okay? So, easier siya, mas comfortable siya, at mas convenient siya. Kasi send mo lang yung link, tapos makakapagsagot na yung mga empleyado, automatically, yung result, ma-generate mo na agad. Another way to conduct training needs analysis is through observation. So, pinapanood naman natin yung mga empleyado on how they perform their task or their job, paano ba nila ginagawa, tama ba yung step-by-step process nila. However, meron naman tong disadvantage. Well, actually, pati yung survey kanina may disadvantage siya. Una, kasi dahil survey lang siya, possible na hindi seryosohin yung pagsagot. Or pwede hulaan na lang kasi checklist lang naman siya. Yung sa observation naman, ang tendency kasi when a person is being observed, ang tendency is he will always do the best way to perform his job. So, pwedeng galingan niya. Pero pag wala naman nag-observe, posibleng hindi siya nag-work. Okay? And then interviews. So, we know what interview is. Kasi mas widely used siya sa HR, di ba? So, pwedeng nagko-conduct ng interviews, may mga series of questions, it can be structured or unstructured interview, okay, or questions. So, mas with that, mas in-depth, mas natatanong at mas may follow-up yung mga questions sa mga uh, questions natin sa employees. Okay, so yung interview nga lang, it may take some time or sometimes yung mga um, employees, they may hide something, hindi nila sasabihin yung totoo kasi baka, lalo na pag HR yung nag-interview, baka yung anything na sabihin nila, it can influence their employment. Okay, next, ginagamit din natin yung mga customer comments. Okay, so yung feedback from customers, very helpful siya to identify the needs. Sabi nga natin, we can identify yung performance ng employees through customer comments. Kung maganda yung feedback ng mga customers, then we can say that employees are performing well. Okay, so very important tong mga comments ng employees. And we can also identify the things that we can improve in providing services. Next is HR records, yung mga previous records ng mga employees. It may help them, it may help the HR practitioners or the trainers to identify ano ba yung training at sino ba yung kailangan umattend ng training nila. And then, yung focus group discussions, para din siyang interview, pero group naman siya. And specifically, same yung nature ng work or same position or basta may similarity sila, may commonality sila dun sa specific group na yun. Halimbawa, pwede sila mag-conduct ng FGD. Kunwari, yung training is about is gender related. So, pwede pare-parehas mga lalaki, yung kakausapin naman nila for focus discussions, yung mga series of questions, or pwedeng puro mga babae muna. Or, kunwari, ang training na gagawin natin or is related sa age. Okay, so, or generation. So, pwedeng magkakasama mo na yung Generation X, sila yung interview natin, or yung magkakonduct tayo ng focus group, and then pwedeng magkakasama yung Gen Y, Gen Z, mga ganun. And then, sampling. Ito para din siyang, para din siyang survey, pero yung sampling is kung paano tayo mamimili. Kung sino yung specific persons na mag-represent ng population. So that's sampling. And then group tests. Kung yung, so pwedeng sabay-sabay sila na bibigyan ng mga activities or assessments to identify, of course, sino yung mag-undergo dapat ng training at ano yung specific training na pwedeng ibigay natin sa mga employees. Ayan. However, may mga problems nga lang na pwedeng um, ma-encounter natin when we are conducting training needs analysis. So ano yung mga problems sa'yo? Number one, confidential information. Baka nababiolate natin um, yung confidential information or yung confidentiality mismo ng information na pinaprovide sa atin. Okay? So may mga act na tayo dyan na kailangan sundin sa pagkuha ng mga information ng mga employees. And then, yung cost, kasi nga, yung training needs analysis, sometimes matagal siya gawin at kailangan talaga ng thorough. Kasi nga, when you analyze, kailangan pinag-isipan, so it might take time and it might cost more. Of course, importante din yung management buy-in. Kasi when you conduct training or when you implement training, importante yung support nila. Para kang nagbebenta ng program. At bibilhin ba siya? Kaya buy-in, bibilhin ba siya ng management? Susuportahan ba siya ng management? Agree ba yung management dun uh, sa gagawin natin? Okay? So, sometimes, kung hindi naman sila agree, sayang lang yung needs analysis. Kasi hindi naman pala din magagamit. Kasi ayaw naman ng management. Okay? So, very important na makuha natin yung support ng management. Next, it may interrupt work. Diba? Halimbawa, nagtatrabaho tapos dahil sa kailangan mong mag-conduct ng analysis, ipo-pull out mo yung mga tao to answer the questions or to attend the focus group discussion or interviews, mga ganon. So, na-hamper natin yung operations, lalo na kung walang backup plan. So, importante na skeletal muna yung pwedeng skeletal muna yung workforce, kaya para hindi na-interrupt yung work. And lastly, hindi nagiging accurate yung information na nakukuha natin if the employees are unwilling to participate in the needs analysis. Kung di naman nila nakikita yung importance at relevant sa buhay nila, possible na hindi sila maging willing to join the needs analysis. So it's very important that we cascade to the employees the clear and understandable um, goal goals of the training needs analysis. Para saan ba itong training needs analysis? Bakit kayo nagko-conduct? Anong impact yan sa atin, sa mga empleyado? Okay, so these are some of the barriers that we may experience when we are performing training needs analysis. Okay, and lastly, ano ba yung mga process natin when we conduct training needs analysis? So ito, for a bigger organization, pag medyo malaki yung organization, ito yung process natin. Pero we can also conduct yung training needs analysis pagka smaller group naman yung organization, konti pa lang yung mga empleyado. Okay? So, to conduct the training needs analysis, very important na na-establish natin yung objectives. Clearly stated yung objectives. Okay, so objectives must be SMART. It has to be specific. Objectives have to be specific. Objectives must be measurable, must be attainable, it must be realistic, or they must be realistic. And lastly, they must be time-bounded or meron tayong specific timeline to perform. Okay, so yung objectives din kasi very important kasi when we evaluate, so pagka na-perform na natin, di ba, gagamitin natin yung, mag-implement na kayo ng training program, gagamitin ulit natin yung objectives to check, to verify kung successful ba kayo or na-hit pa natin yung required na o yung kailangan yung magawa. So, pagka nag-evaluate ng program, chine-check ulit kung na-meet ba yung objectives. Okay, so yung objective, very important siya. Kailangan malinaw talaga siya na state kasi sa dulo ulit ng pag-perform nyo or pag-implement ng program, i-check ulit siya kung nagawa ba siya. Then you can say that a training is effective. Effective training. Okay? Next is yung review of the current and past training programs. Okay? So, once na na-set na natin yung objectives, tignan natin yung current programs natin ng training at yung mga past trainings kasi makakatulong siya na ma-identify nga natin na ito palang tao na to nakapag-undergo na pala siya ng training na to. So, hindi na natin siya sasama dito. Baka next level ng training na yung kailangan niya mapuntahan. And then, analyzing job functions. So check din natin, baka mamaya yung trabaho ng mga empleyado, yung job nila, yung specific task nila, hindi pa siya related dun sa job description. Baka yung job description niya, ito hindi niya na nagagawa kasi iba yung nakalagay dun. So dapat siya-check din na-update din yung job description. Okay, so na-analyze na natin yung job functions, we should also categorize the training in terms of types. Okay? So, sabi nga natin may mga types of training. Analysis. Okay, so organization level ba to or department lang or individual level ba ito? At ma-identify natin yung type ng training. Kasi para mas maging maganda yung result, dapat tailor fit. Okay, so ibig sabihin swak na swak yung training na ibibigay natin sa mga employees. Ayun talaga yung needs nila. And then the design and implementation of training needs survey. Na-categorize na natin yung type ng training. So, mag-design na tayo. Okay? Paano natin i-implement yung survey na gagamitin natin or ano bang klase yung methodology na gagamitin natin. Is it through survey? Is it through focus group discussion or interview ba siya or group test ba siya? And then, so mag-implement na tayo, di ba? Nakapag-design na tayo, nakuha na natin yung mga information about the objectives of the organization, yung mga previous programs at current programs ng organization, analyze na natin yung job, na-categorize na natin yung type ng training. So, nag-design na tayo. So, pag nag-design na natin, i-implement na natin siya through different methodologies kung ano yung pinaka-suit dun sa sa uh, analysis mo. Okay? So sometimes, yung isang methodology, it's better to use it based on the situation. Okay? So based on the needs of the organization pa rin. And lastly, once na nakapag-implement ka na ng survey, of course, you have to communicate the results to the higher management. Importante, dahil kailangan nga natin ng buy-in nila. Pag nakita talaga ng management na yung needs nandun, meron talagang gap in terms of the competency level, then of course they would recommend and they would agree or they would approve yung proposal mo to conduct the training or to design mo na yung training and then implement it to the it may be to the whole organization or to certain individuals. Yan. So pagka smaller naman yung business natin, konti lang empleyado, puwedeng yung facilitator lang imi-meet niya yung mga employees. So, i-gather lang yung mga employees and then i-ask lang ng question. Okay, and then pwedeng mag-inquire lang sa mga employees, sige, kumuha po ba tayo ng papel or magpo-provide na ng papel yung trainer. And then, i-write down lang yung 10 pinaka-importanting training needs ng mga employees. So, individual yun, isulat nila and then yung facilitator, makaka-capture niya yung training needs ng employees. So, tatanungin niya. And then, itatali niya. Okay? So, ano-ano ba yung mga specific training needs ng mga employees? Isusulat yun sa whiteboard or sa flip chart. And then, magbobotohan na ng mga empleyado. Okay? So, para ma-determine natin ano yung pinaka-importante. So, ilalagay doon after nun, pagka nagboto na sila, i-identify na yung training needs. Depende sa importance or sa gravity ng need para ma-address yung na yun, yung need na yun. Okay? O yung training gap. And then, pag na-list down na at nakapili na ano yung top 3 na kailangan lagyan ng o gawa ng training design or ipa-attend din yung mga employees sa training, then nag-brainstorm ulit kung sa needed outcomes. Isi-set na. Ano ba yung target na natin na kailangan ma-achieve ng mga employees. Okay? So, these are the steps pagka smaller lang yung business. So, ngayon, Dahil konti lang din naman tayo, I'll be grouping you. Um, I'll be dividing you into several groups. Tapos magko-conduct tayo ng training needs analysis. Mag-a-analyze tayo. Mag-send out tayo ng mga questionnaires, or you can do interviews. Okay, so depende sa inyo, depende sa need. Or we can also conduct this. So, ayun na lang yung activity natin. We can conduct this training needs analysis in a smaller group. Okay? So that's it for this day. Maraming salamat for listening. I hope you learned something, and we will definitely use everything in our next activity because we will conduct our training needs analysis. So once again, thank you and goodbye, class. See you next time.